Hey, Miles here, milesbecker.com. This video, you need to ask yourself a very important question. Would Facebook lock you out from a fan page that you built honestly, ethically from the ground up? Similarly, would Instagram lock you out from a profile or an account that you built for your business from the ground up, organically, ethically, and did everything the right way? You see, my wife and I have built a fan page to nearly 1 million fans on Facebook through several years of hard work. We never really bought likes in the sense of using Facebook ad campaigns to actually purchase likes, but the likes have been a byproduct of my advertising. Mainly though, the most of the growth, I would say 95% or more of the growth has been 100% organic. It's been because my wife was a prolific content creator and publisher on the Facebook platform through her fan page for 5, 6, 7, 8+ years. I'm not sure the exact date, but essentially since they rolled out fan pages, she has been growing aggressively her fan page. Today, something very interesting happened. Facebook notified her that she was temporarily locked out from her own fan page because Facebook needed to verify her identity and make sure that she was legally an individual allowed to publish to her own fan page. Now, if you think about this for a quick second, the ramifications of this are potentially extremely scary. This proves why I've said for so long that you need to own the race course, because currently our fan page is potentially in jeopardy. I'm going to explain what happened in that situation, but many people who haven't received this notice yet are still building their businesses 100% on the Facebook platform or 100% on the Instagram platform. And I plead with you in this moment right now to realize that is a very, very risky endeavor, because for whatever reason they choose, they have the ability to turn off your access to everything you've created. You see, that's not actually your asset when it's a Facebook fan page or an Instagram account. That's actually Instagram's asset. You're doing the equivalent of sharecropping or share farming, where someone else owns the farmland and you're given the right to grow your crop and farm on that land until the lord of that land decides, you know what? I don't want you on my land anymore, at which point you have no way to go do anything other than start over from scratch on a new location. So what's the right answer? Honestly, it's growing an email list. It's growing a WordPress blog. That is the biggest way you're able to really grow your own personal assets. I do like and use YouTube, obviously, with this video, but really I'm using YouTube because it's the easiest method for me to create content, and all of this content gets out onto my podcast feed, which I own, and then it's transcribed and copy edited and put onto my blog, which I also own. So really, all roads need to point back to an asset that you own, and if you're building on a third-party social media platform only, you are in peril. So what did my wife have to do to get access to her own fan page that she's grown for many years straight? First, she had to download the Facebook app. Now, neither of us run the Facebook app. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on behind the scenes of Facebook trying to monitor what you're doing, who you're communicating with in other apps on your phone. My privacy side does not enjoy giving Facebook that much information, so I don't run any Facebook apps. I don't run the Messenger app at all. So she had to install the Facebook app, and they claimed that they were doing this as a byproduct of some of their recent security things. They tried to angle this and present this coming from a direction of they're helping us, but ultimately it's us giving them access to more information. They forced us into a situation. They essentially held our fan page ransom in order for us to add that app to verify who we are and specifically what country we publish from. Now, back in the day, about 3 years ago, I was in Bali, which is an island in the country of Indonesia. Indonesia is the 4th most populated country in the world, and there's parts of Indonesia that have been branded as scammer central. Jakarta is a major city, and there is a fair bit of nefarious web stuff going on. There's a lot of good stuff going on. You got to hear me right. Indonesia has an amazing talent pool of developers and engineers, but there's definitely some people going the black hat direction. When I was in Indonesia running advertisements, Facebook turned off my advertising account for a period of about a week to verify that nothing weird has happened, that I was still in control of my account. I had to send them pictures of my passport. I had to send them pictures of my driver's license. I had to answer all kinds of questions to prove to them essentially that I am who I say I am, and that all these clicks that I'm spending money on is what I want to do. Very, very, very precarious situation if that is my only source of traffic. Same sort of a situation happened years ago with our paid traffic. You've probably heard the horror stories of people running their first ad on the Facebook ads platform and getting their Facebook account banned for no apparent reason, with no real notification and zero ability to go work with the Facebook advertising team to unlock or return on their Facebook advertising accounts. Facebook simply turns you off when they don't want you around anymore. This is beginning to maybe start happening in the organic world of the Facebook fan page. In the beginning, I mentioned Instagram because Facebook owns Instagram. It's the same corporation, and I believe that it's the same sort of approach. What we've seen on Facebook is absolutely going to be what we will see rolling out on Instagram. You can follow some of the algorithm updates and some of the ways that Instagram has grown since it's been under Facebook's ownership is very similar to how Facebook grew in the early years. They're taking the same path, and what they want to do is they want to incentivize you and I onto those platforms by giving us reach, and ultimately we're able to get traffic and grow our brands quickly when we become publishers on those platforms. And then they limit the amount of reach that we receive organically, and they're now trying to get us to boost our posts. And then they try to essentially force you to pay for the same amount of traffic and reach that you used to get. Now, is this terrible? No, it's not terrible. In fact, when your cost per thousand displays, that's a CPM number, when your cost per lead is still within your KPI, it makes great sense to be an advertiser on these platforms until it's not fiscally viable at any point in time, which is when you need to be shifting away from these platforms. My big point here in this entire video is, number one, monitor yourself. Where are you putting your efforts? Are you farming your own land? Are you farming land that you own, or are you currently 100% operating as a sharecropper? Are you effectively leasing land from the lords that are essentially giving you reach today, but they might pull the rug out from under you in the future? I really implore you, make sure you're number one, growing your email list. I recommend you use Aweber. This is a list that you own. If anything ever happens, you can always back up your list. You can move to other list providers, but you effectively own that asset of your list. Number two, be building a WordPress website on a domain that you own. This is a WordPress.org self-hosted website. You own it, you control it, you pay for the server space that hosts it, leaves you in full control. If anything happens with your relationship with your host, you simply go move your site over to a new hosting company. You remain in full control. That's the most important part. The other one that you can own is a podcast feed, but not everyone's a natural talker. A podcast feed is something that you actually do own the MP3 files. You own that feed. A YouTube channel, I do think there's more value long-term in growing a YouTube channel than an Instagram account, than a Facebook account, because YouTube videos are based on a search engine algorithm where people search for answers in YouTube to their questions and problems, and your video can show up and deliver traffic and connect you with new people for years and years and years to come. Whereas an Instagram post or a Facebook post may have a shelf life of 24 hours. I really even think that's a long shelf life for most posts. Most posts disappear within 3 to 4 hours at this point in time. So the ultimate big picture idea here is, are you investing all of your time and energy to grow Zuckerberg's assets, or are you focused putting your time and energy into your assets? I implore you to make sure the bulk of your time is going to your assets. When you put up another great blog post, when you put up another great video or podcast episode, sure, go promote that on social networks, right? Go promote your blog post on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, so you can drive that traffic back from their farm to your farm, right? Go get their audience, bring them back to your asset that you own where you can deliver your pop-up and get them onto your list. Because as my wife and I saw today, when she had to go through several very eerie hoops, all designed to be, to protect our privacy, but ultimately that was Facebook's way of saying, do we think you still deserve access to that thing you built on our servers over the last 10 years? And in that moment, Facebook had an opportunity, and they were clearly willing to exercise their right to eliminate our access from the asset that we created on their platform, because ultimately it's not our asset. It's their asset. It's their servers. It's their platform. They own it. And the moment they want to turn you off and cut you off from your audience or force you to pay to see your audience and connect with your audience, they're just going to do it. They're not going to ask any questions. They're not going to tell you why. They're not going to give you any recourse. They don't have to. And ultimately, this is because they don't care about you and I. They care about leeching our data and selling it and driving up their stock prices is effectively what they ultimately care about. They need your and my content to make Facebook and Instagram a place for other people to spend time so they can display their ads in front of those other people. But ultimately, you got to make sure you are focusing your efforts on growing your personal assets that you own, that you'll be able to control for life, that no one else can turn them off. You can always back them up. You can always re-upload them somewhere else if you need to, because there will be a day when A, Facebook dies, or B, Facebook decides to cut you off from your content. And trust me, Instagram will be following the exact same path over time. It's on a different growth curve because it's in a different part. It's in a different phase of that S curve, that growth curve. But ultimately, they are tracking in the same way. They are going in the same direction. So be sure you're growing your assets. It's the number one thing I can recommend. My first business that I grew was on MySpace. It grew to several $1,000s per month. It was doing incredible until MySpace decided to completely turn off my links and completely turn off my accounts. That happened overnight. There was no courtesy email. There was no warning. There was no recourse for me. It just happened. They literally removed me from their system. I had no ability, no recourse to go back in, and my income went from several $1,000s per month down to zero. And I'm seeing the signs that is coming. That's happening right now, currently on the new social networks that are hip and cool and trendy. And a lot of the gurus say this is where you have to be. And they'll put out their webinars and they'll sell you the $500 courses on how to explode your Instagram growth and all that. And honestly, it's a very risky endeavor. I really think you should realize that the slow and steady approach of growing your own assets on a podcast feed, a YouTube channel, and ultimately your WordPress website that you own, self-hosted, that's wordpress.org, and effectively your email account, that is ultimately how you guarantee your long-term success, because no one can take that away from you. At that point, it's you, your skill building, the content you put out, and helping your audience achieve the goals they desire and solve the problems that they're searching for answers to. That's how you really win at the game, and that's how you build your business in a way that a third-party corporation or individual is not sitting there with their finger on the switch that could literally turn you off from your traffic, your audience, your income effectively. So maintain a very skeptical approach on the third-party networks as you continue to publish your content. Leverage them as best you can, but they work best when you are using Facebook to draw Facebook users back to your content so you can get them on your list. Instagram, so you can draw Instagram users back to your content so you can get them on your list. Ultimately, those should be tools for you to grow your assets, not the other way around. You don't want to be the tool growing their asset. You want to let them be the tool helping you grow your asset. I hope this video has been helpful. That was a very awkward and interesting experience this morning, having to jump through all of those hoops to essentially verify and claim and maintain ownership of that thing we've created and built and spent thousands of hours pouring our hearts and content into over time. It is a sign of the times where we are. It's a sign of things to come. So consider that the warning shot from Facebook. It came to us because we have a very high traffic, a very high reach page. It will work its way down to lower reach pages over time. And now you know the secret to staying secure, to owning your assets, so you can move forward confidently knowing that you'll be able to continue to get long-term results from all of your efforts, because you're going to own the race course, you're going to own the farmland, you're going to own your assets, and you're going to build your assets through their networks. Thanks for your time. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have any questions, get at me in the comments below. I'm happy to connect in comments when I have time. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and be sure you subscribe because I got a new video coming out in a couple of days. I've got some really cool stuff coming out for you, so be sure to subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get notifications when the new videos are out. And until we connect again, be well. Talk to you again soon.